Welcome to Everyday English Practice channel. In this video on how to avoid common English grammar mistakes. In this video, we will cover 15 of the most frequent mistakes that learners make in English and show you how to fix them. By the end of this video, you will feel more confident when speaking and writing in English. So, let's get started. Subject-verb agreement. One of the first mistakes English learners make is with subject-verb agreement. This rule means that the subject and the verb need to match in number. If the subject is singular, the verb must also be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. Example 1. Incorrect. She go to the store every morning. Correct. She goes to the store every morning. The verb, go, must change to goes to match with the singular subject, she. Example 2. Incorrect. They goes to the park every weekend. Correct. They go to the park every weekend. Notice how they is plural, so we use the plural form of the verb, which is go, and not goes. Using the right tense. Using the correct tense is crucial in English. The tense tells us when an action happens: past, present, or future. Let us look at the three main tenses. Present tense. We use the present tense for things that happen now or regularly. Example: I study English every day. Past tense. We use the past tense for things that happened before now. Example: I studied English yesterday. Future tense. We use the future tense for things that will happen later. Example: I will study English tomorrow. Example of a mistake. Incorrect. Yesterday, I go to the store. Correct. Yesterday, I went to the store. Here, go is in the present tense, but we need went because the action happened in the past. Using a, vs, an. In English, we use the articles a and an before singular nouns. However, we use them differently depending on the first sound of the word that follows. Use a before words that start with a consonant sound. Example: I want a book. Example: she has a car. Use an before words that start with a vowel sound. Example: I need an apple. Example: he saw an orange. Important: it is not about whether the word begins with a vowel letter, but whether it begins with a vowel sound. For example, we say an hour because hour begins with the vowel sound a, even though it starts with the letter h. Much versus many. One common mistake is confusing much and many. We use much with uncountable nouns, things we cannot count individually. Example: how much rice do you need? Example: there is much water in the bottle. We use many with countable nouns, things we can count. Example: how many apples do you want? Example: there are many books on the shelf. Remember, rice, water, and sugar are uncountable, so use much with them. Apples, books, and chairs are countable, so use many. Double negatives. In English, we do not use two negatives in the same sentence. A double negative happens when two negative words are used together, which can confuse the meaning. Incorrect. I do not need no help. Correct. I do not need any help. In this example, do not is already a negative, so we do not need to add no. Instead, use any with do not for clarity. There is versus there are. In English, we use there is for singular nouns and there are for plural nouns. There is used with singular nouns. Example: there is a book on the table. Example: there is a pen on the desk. There are is used with plural nouns. Example: there are many books on the shelf. Example: there are 5 pens in the drawer. Me versus I. Many learners confuse me and I. I is the subject of a sentence. It does the action. Example: I am going to the store. Example: I like chocolate. Me is the object of a sentence. It receives the action. Example: she gave the book to me. Example: the teacher asked me a question. A simple rule: if you are doing the action, use I. If the action is done to you, use me. Less versus fewer. We often make a mistake when using less and fewer. Less is used with uncountable nouns. Example: there is less sugar in my coffee. Example: she has less time than me. Fewer is used with countable nouns. Example: there are fewer apples in the basket. Example: I have fewer books than you. Then versus then and then sound similar, but they have different meanings. Than is used for comparisons. Example: he is taller than me. Example: this book is better than that one. Then refers to time or sequence. Example: first we went to the store, then we went to the park. Example: I will study now, and then I will take a break. Prepositions. Prepositions are small words that show the relationship between two things. Here are some common mistakes. Use in for locations or times. Example: I live in New York. Example: I will see you in the morning. Use on for surfaces or days. Example: the book is on the table. Example: I will see you on Monday. Use it for specific points. Example: I will meet you at the restaurant. Example: I am sitting at the desk. Run-on sentences. A run-on sentence happens when 2 or more sentences are joined together without proper punctuation. This can confuse the reader or listener. Incorrect: I went to the store, I bought some food. Correct: I went to the store. I bought some food. To avoid run-on sentences, make sure to separate complete ideas with a period, a comma, or a conjunction like and, or, but. Who versus whom. In English, we use who and whom differently. Who is used when referring to the subject of a sentence. Example: who is coming to the party? Example: who called me? Whom is used when referring to the object of a sentence. Example: to whom did you give the book? Example: the teacher, whom we respect, is here. Misplaced modifiers. A misplaced modifier happens when a descriptive word or phrase is not placed next to the word it is describing. Incorrect: I almost drove the car for 2 hours. Correct: I drove the car for almost 2 hours. To avoid this mistake, make sure modifiers are placed directly next to the word they are describing. Articles. Articles a, n, the, are small words that often confuse learners. Here is a quick guide. Use a, and, n, for things that are not specific or when introducing something new. Example: I want a book. Example: she gave me an apple. Use the when talking about something specific or something already mentioned. Example: I read the book you gave me. Example: the apples on the table are delicious. Word order. In English, the order of words in a sentence is important. Generally, the subject comes first, followed by the verb, and then the object. Incorrect: to the store I went. Correct: I went to the store. Thank you for watching this video on how to avoid common English grammar mistakes. Remember, learning a language takes time, and mistakes are part of the process. Keep practicing, and soon you will feel more comfortable using English every day. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Happy learning, and see you next time.
Subscribe.